Doomsday 3.
We're in Doomsday 1. He came from one of the toughest areas of Phoenix. Most of his friends.
You got people on the defense talking about it. You better get your ass to the ball. You better get to the ball.
I just gotta say, when it comes to Dallas Cowboys, well,
It's different. Had you stayed
For sure, and they would have thrown it off because
and I go to bed every night like, Sneaky G, man, I promise you that. What is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here, Kelly K9. I hope you guys are doing well. I know that we had, and I was excited all day waiting for it, that we were having Dave Campo in. He texted me. I sent it to Kelly for verification, but he unfortunately got sick, and he didn't feel he'd be able to do a good enough show. So we're going to try and reschedule that for next week, early next week, right before Kevin Gogan. So we might hit you double up with some champions. You know what I'm saying? So we'll get that thing going, but we're going to have a fun show, today. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe, like, and share and all that stuff. We're going to open up the phone line. And the way the phone line works is I can only take one call at a time. So if someone's on with us, you guys just chill. And as soon as you see me hang up with them, then one of you guys can call in. I know you guys get a little shy. But call in, man. This is the off season. It's quiet, Kelly, right? What do we got to talk about? Little Cowboys and some other stuff. But what you up to, my man? How you feeling? I know you got in this some beef today, some cowboy, cowboy on cowboy crime or whatever you want to call it, man. How's it going?
Yeah, it's first off, what's up to everybody in the chat? Thanks for joining in, tuning in, like, subscribe, and share, please. We do enjoy it when you do that. But man, I'm doing good, man. It's a slow day, so you get a lot of different. It's a slow day. It's the off season, so it's just this is the dead time. It's free agency hasn't begun yet.
Couple more weeks.
You got the NFL Combine. You're starting to see some guys run some 40s. You're starting to see some of that kind of stuff. See, I like seeing the big guys run 40s, the DTs. You see these 350-pound monsters running a faster 40 than I can run. And I'm always amazed by that. I mean, I see these dudes running 40s and I'm thinking, I can't run a 40 that fast. These dudes are like 120 pounds more than me. So those things are always amazing. I always pay a little bit of attention to that, but man, just staying afloat, man, staying afloat until we can get it into the juice of the off season, which is free agency for me.
Yeah, no, that's when it kind of gets going. So we're going to get into it. But Kelly, I got to ask some advice from you, if you don't mind. And maybe in the chat, you guys can help out. I mean, I know you got, daughter. You kind of went through all that. And my daughter is, as you guys know, you guys watched her when she was just, 12 maybe or 11. I don't know, when she started, doing some videos with me and this and that. But she's 17 now. She's a junior. And lo and behold, she's got, met a boy, got a little boyfriend. Yeah. And I see the guy, pull up, met him. I didn't get a chance to meet him for the first time. So they kind of came by, did like a drive-by because I was hanging out outside of our happy hour spot with the 505 Club. And I look in the front and it's got a Dallas Cowboy license plate in the front. So now I'm wondering, I said, I had to talk to my daughter. I said, he's a Cowboys fan? And he says, oh, yeah, he lived in Dallas and they moved over here, a few years ago, this and that. So is that a plus? I mean, is that a check mark, or do you think he knows Mike Tag? He knows the way to Pop's heart. He's going to become a Cowboys fan. And I should have checked to see if the sticker was still on it that he just bought it, the price tag. But what do you think? Is that a positive?
Hey, you're off to a good start, man. I mean, at least it's not an Eagles fan. I mean, that'd have been a dagger to the back. But you got a smart daughter, man. I know she's smarter than that to bring home an Eagles fan. So trust me, man. I've been there with my own daughter and had to meet the boyfriend for the first time. That's always it's always one of those those things, man. You're never ready to see your kids grow up, but especially your daughters, man. When you got a daughter, obviously, I mean, they're a little bit more. I won't say more special because it makes your sons feel bad or whatever, but they just you're your daughter's protector. Your sons can protect themselves and watch out over themselves. You don't really worry about them. Worry about our daughters a little bit more. So I feel for you, man. It's that.
Yeah. Well, so far he's checked some boxes. He's a golfer. That's got to be a positive, right? Gentleman sports, maybe he's a gentleman, and he's going to. I think he got a scholarship to a college playing golf, so maybe that's a +2. So there's some positive. I hadn't met him yet. I told my daughter, hey, at least come over to meet Pop. So I went to the game. I went to a flag football game yesterday. And I saw him, but he didn't come up to me. I didn't come up to him. I want to respect the boundaries. I just want to, feel it out, right? It's dad, that's my daughter. And hey, hang on. Someone's calling real quick. All right. And so, I left. So my wife and I left. And then when my daughter, next day I said, hey, I said, he didn't come up and introduce himself. She goes, well, I wanted to introduce him to you. And so I went ahead and, we're going to do it after the game, but you left. So there's always an excuse. I want to meet the gentleman that's talking to my daughter. So is that fair for me to say?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so it's going to be good.
Absolutely.
We want to get into it. Let me see. I think I got a man on. Hold on a second. I think we got our first caller. Let's get this right. I want to get you in there. Hey, what's up, my man? How are you?
Yo, what's going on, fellas?
Good. I didn't catch your name. I apologize. Who is this? Who's calling us?
It's Manny.
Manny, what is up? Kelly, can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Not much, man. I called for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only.
Let's hear it. Give me the first one.
All right. So I got to hear Kelly do a Jerry impression.
Okay. What do you want
to say? The second one, I want to see who was he most impressed with at the combine.
Okay. All right, man. We'll handle both of those. So listen closely because we're going to get it for you, Manny. I appreciate you calling in.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Can you dig it?
I can dig it, man. And we're going to get this thing rolling. I got another story. So I appreciate it. So what do you want to say in Jerry's voice? I mean, talk about the combine. Is that what you're thinking?
Who was he most impressed with the 40-yard dash? Who does he want to draft? And is he really going all in, or is he just, trying to get the crowd to listen to him?
All right. Well, hang tight. We're going to get this thing for you. Appreciate you breaking the ice and calling in. All right, man. All right.
Yeah, appreciate the call, bud.
Later, man.
See you. All right. Do you want to do that now or do you want to wait?
You got it, man. Let me go ahead and break it down. Let's get out of the way. We'll go ahead and bust this out. So here we go. Hold on now. Well, now, when it comes to us going all in, I said I was going to go all in, and I mean it. You're really going to find out what I mean about going all in. You'll find out when free agency starts at midnight. Pop your popcorn, get your butter, and get ready for some entertainment. Now, as far as the NFL Combine, I like watching the big fellas. I mean, these guys have got some amazing athleticism to them. And I don't know if you've seen a Braden Fisk from Florida State, defensive tackle, ran a 4.78 40-yard dash. Now, let me tell you something. I haven't ran that fast since I ran to cash my first check as the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. But let me just tell you, for a guy that size, that's impressive. It really is.
I was wondering if you're going to say you hadn't run that fast, Jerry, since the judge told you got to take a paternity test.
Yeah, he took that paternity test. So I guess we're going to find out if that really if he's going to be a father. So Jerry might be a father. But man, I just to go touch on that real quick. I don't know if you've seen that, but that kid from Florida State, that defensive tackle, I think it's Braden. I think I said Braden. Dude, 6'4", 292 pounds, and the dude ran a 4.78 40-yard dash. That's pretty crazy.
Well, that is crazy, and we want to give some love. We got a super chat from our man Chris Ward, and he said, "Man, Kelly, I know you're having fun with them trolls on Twitter today, but some of these dumbasses takes are just stupid. Dak ain't the problem, and we're gonna get into that, and we definitely want you guys, if you want to call in and talk about it, but go ahead and respond to that, Kelly. My man, he donated to the cause, so he deserves an answer from you.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate the super chat, guys. That's always the option for y'all in the chat. Don't feel obligated, but when you do, automatically means the chat's going to get put up on the board and it's going to get read, and every little bit that gets done through goes into the funds to go for new equipment, tailgates, different stuff like that to keep bringing the entertainment to you guys. But yeah, man, it's just one of those things, man. Right now there's a lot of people and there's a lot of different opinions on the whole Dak Prescott thing, man. And my thing is there can be an even there's a middle here, right? We got to find the middle ground, because right now it's either you're on the far left or you're on the far right. It's almost like politics here. You either want Dak gone or you want him extended. But I feel like that there's some middle ground where I think you can find that middle ground here on the Cowboys, between me and Mike. Been critical of Dak Prescott. I've said that he has to play better in the playoffs. As soon as the playoffs were over, I'm sitting there calling for Dak Prescott. I'm gonna say he's got to go. Mike McCarthy's got to go. Everybody's got to go. Michael Irvin himself. Everybody's got to go. I'm not the only one that had that emotional reaction. That's how we are as fans. But as somebody who comes up on a podcast and we try to educate you guys and we try to give you fans' perspective, but we also try to let you know how to step back and look at things a little bit more objectively. And that's what I was trying to do today on Twitter with my tweets, is trying to just let people know, look, you can't always put it on one man. It can't always be on Dak Prescott. I've been able to objectively look back, step at that Green Bay game and say, yes, he got off to a slow start. We got to figure out why he keeps getting off to slow starts in playoff games. But Dak ultimately did not cost us that game. It was our defense. And my point was there was a guy along the way. I was showing all the different playoff stats from all the different playoff quarterbacks, and Dak's playoff stats are right there in line with every single quarterback that has not won a Super Bowl. Every single one. His passer rating is right there. His interceptions and touchdown ratio, his yards. The only thing different is the win-loss ratio. His stats are almost identical to Joe Burrow, only they're flipped in terms of wins and losses. Why is that? Because it's a team sport. You can't just sit there and look at the numbers and be like, oh, well, he's 2-5 in the playoffs, and that's what it is. Well, it's a team thing. There's things that have led to the failure. And anyway, somebody mentioned about Dak's first 4 possessions of the game, how it was a punt, interception, punt, and intercept, pick 6, right? And I said, okay, I get that. And I said, well, did you watch the Super Bowl, though? Because Patrick Mahomes' first eight possessions was punt, running back fumbled, punt, field goal, interception, punt, and field goal. 6 points. 6 points on 8 possessions by the greatest quarterback in the NFL right now, Patrick Mahomes, unquestioned. Had a horrible start. But guess what? His defense held serve, didn't allow touchdown drives on every single drive, and Kansas City stayed in the game. It's pretty easy to understand and see what happened in that Green Bay game. We couldn't get a stop. We couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Yeah.
So
and that's really,
it's just trying to be a little bit more objective,
Yeah. And that's where you got to take a step back. I think we all have done it. We all raised hell after the game and this and that. And it's like, it's like you said, watch that Super Bowl. The defense kept them in the game until Mahomes can get going, until that offense can get going. They kept him in striking distance. And that's one of the problems. And that's what we really want to talk to Coach Campbell about when he's feeling better. We want to make sure he's healthy to talk about it. But, Coach Zimmer coached under him for years, for a long time, as a position coach, as a, when a coordinator, when he was a coach, when Campbell was a head coach. So he's got a lot of familiarity with him. And we want to see, that's what we're going to need from that defense, is we need a little bit more, more dog in them to be able to hold down these teams. Because we've said it till we're blue in the face. Go look at the teams that jumped on us. We got blown out, right?
Yeah.
You look at the Bills. You can look at the Cardinals. You can look at the 49ers. You look at these teams, where we didn't get a great start and we asked, the offense wasn't moving, the defense just got run over, and it was game over. And that's where we've got to get better. And it sucks for Dak Prescott. But he's got to step up too. We're not gonna give him no pass either. But to your point, there's a bigger picture. And when they talk about what do we do with Dak? Are we gonna sign him? Are we gonna let him go? Are we gonna have him on a 1-year deal? First, it looked like everything, you heard all the rumors that we're signing him. Now you're starting to hear a little bit, well, maybe they're gonna go on a 1-year deal and let him play out his last year and then see what happens. I can't see that happening. I think they got to sign him to an extension. They did pick up the roster bonus for Trey Lance, so he's 100% back next season. So I guess that kind of means that he's going to be the backup, but they should let him compete. But are you still after the game saying, give him a 1 year, let's just see what happens, don't extend him? Are you good with the extension in the chat? What's your guys' thoughts as well? Is he our quarterback? The future lies with Dak. What'd you say?
So what I think is, I think that right now we're at the point where you have to work out a contract extension, freeing up and restructuring Dak's contract. Just Dak's contract alone would get us underneath the salary cap. So I'm not because right now, if you say, all right, we're riding this out with Dak, we're not going to pay him. We're going to keep him on this $60 million deal. And next year, we're going to see about drafting a quarterback, maybe trade for a quarterback, whatever. Okay, if that's the way that you go, well, then this year's a wash. Forget about this year, because you're not going to, first of all, you're going to have Dak Prescott, who's playing on the last year of a deal, who I don't think he's the kind of person that would do it. But if you got a lame duck coach, a lame duck quarterback, what do these dudes really fight? What do they really do? What are they really playing for at that point? I just don't see the positives in that. Not only that, you're not going to be able to get any help for the defense, no help for the offense, because you're not going to have any money to spend. You're going to be cap strapped. You extend Dak Prescott. What I would like to see, me personally, I would like to see them give Dak a contract. I think Dak's agent keeps pushing for the short contract, the 3 years, because he knows he can keep re-upping. I'm not a big fan of the short contract. What I would personally like to see is them give him somewhere between a 4 and a 5 year deal, stretch out the length of the contract. But there needs to be a trade clause. Dak currently had it where there's a no trade clause. I think they need to sit down and have an honest talk and say, listen, we want you to be the quarterback, and we're willing to afford you the opportunity to be our quarterback. We're going to pay you what you're worth. We're going to pay you top dollar. But if things don't work, if this year, again, we see in the playoffs, you're off to a slow start, you're looking shell-shocked. We've had some of the same results. If we end up with these same results, a one and done in the playoffs, can't get past the division round, we want to look to trade you. We will give you say in who we trade you to. We're not going to trade you to anybody that you don't want to go to. We'll give you some say. Like if there's 3 teams involved and you have a preference, we will try to work the trade out to go to there. But having a no trade clause, I'm not a fan of that. And I'm not a fan of the 3-year deal, because I feel like it's just a lot more money set up throughout those 3 years. And you end up in this third deal this year, like we are now, where he's owed $60 million, because technically you've got the 2 voidable contract years, but they're not doing that. So I would prefer a 5-year deal, but at least put it on the table that you can trade him, have the talk with Dak and say, look, we'll give you the opportunity to win somewhere else. You're still going to be getting paid, but this is what we want to do. Because right now, Dak Prescott's got all the power with his short-term contracts. He's got all the leverage. And quite frankly, as the owner, you could sit down with him, and he shouldn't have the leverage at this point. You got to look at Dak and say, hey, you've done a great job for us, but let's face facts. Change of scenery might be good for you if things don't change around Dallas. But right now, I think he's the guy that you got to roll with. And, and it's hard to find a guy who's going to win you 12 games each season. I get the frustration. It needs to be better in the postseason. But honestly, I feel like if you give this team if we had linebackers on this team, legitimate linebackers, and if we would have had a running game, I think this season it would have played out differently. I really do.
Totally different. Totally different. And I just want to show some love to Mike TX, Mike from Texas. Wish Cowboys had a better running game. We preached it I said the running game was going to be their Achilles heel and was going to come back to bite them in the ass, and it did. Kyle, do we want Pollard still? Is he the sword? We need the hammer, and I agree. And we're going to get into it. And it's one of those things, in and out. In or out. Maybe some of these are probably going to be pretty easy, but you look at Gallup, you look at Pollard. Me personally, I don't think either one of them are back. I think they cut Gallup. I think Pollard's a free agent. I think they move on from Pollard unless he came back with a number 2 type deal, but I don't know I doubt that'll happen. What's your thoughts on who's in and who out? Doesn't have to be these two, but look at the guys that are on our team. Who the people talking about? Who's in, who's out? You got Gilmore as a free agent, down the list. And here, love to get your guys' opinion on the chat too. But Kelly, what are you thinking about who do you see not on the team that next year? Who you want back?
So I think that Pollard's gone. I think Gallup's gone. I believe that I actually think Tyron Smith is going to be back.
I do too.
I think he's got a good working relationship with his team. And I mean, let's just face it. We all know the injuries, but if you've got a good backup plan with Tyron Smith, which I think we don't, I don't think our backup plan is too bad. You can still have, because when Tyron Smith is playing at his best, he's still one of the best in the game. So I think Tyron Smith comes back. I think Gilmore is going to come. I think we get Gilmore back. He's expressed that he wants to be back. And that's a positive sign. The fact that he wants to be back and wants to come back and play next side healthy Diggs, I think he's coming back. Exactly. Just don't practice Tyron. So I think those guys will be – I think those are the guys, the main ones anyway. I don't have the list in front of me, but I've heard there talks about him going to Philly. I hope that that's not true. I would hate to see him in Philly, but if he does, I'm
going to Philly. You broke up.
Tony Pollard.
Oh, I heard Houston. I heard Houston was an option.
Houston would be not a bad spot.
Yeah. So let me run some names for you guys in chat. Just so Gilmore back, Tyron back. What about Tank?
I think he's coming back as well.
Okay, Van Der Esch. If his injury's clear, do you think? And I don't know, maybe I'm off, but I think maybe time to move on. I mean, I don't even know if he's a free agent or is he on a contract? I don't even remember.
I think he's still under contract. I think if he doesn't come back, it's going to be because he was medically uncleared. So I've got the list here.
Curse, would you bring?
Who's that?
J-Ron Curse.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's time to move on from Curse. Jordan Lewis is an interesting one. He actually didn't play too bad in the slot.
No, he's always around the ball too. You know what I mean?
He is. So he's a guy for the right deal. The right deal. I could see them bringing Jordan Lewis back. You've got Jonathan Hankins. That's a guy who's played well for us. And if you lose him, you've got a pretty gaping hole there in the middle because he was pretty much honestly one of our best run stuffers. So I think he's a guy you might look at getting back unless you can find something in free agency. I would prefer somebody younger than Hankins, though. He's getting long in the tooth there. So I wouldn't be completely upset if we let him go. Dante Fowler is another guy that's a free agent.
I think he's gone to Washington. He's followed Quinn everywhere he's gone, seems like.
Yeah.
Since Atlanta.
Sean McKeon, a tight end. I don't think he's back. Noah, I don't even know how to say that last name.
Oh, that was the guy we traded when we traded Calvin Joseph. I mean, he didn't do anything. He was
I don't see him coming back. CJ Goodwin, don't see him coming back. Dorrance Armstrong. I don't know. I don't know that I don't think he'll be back. Tyler Biadasz is an interesting name at center. I think the Cowboys will try to bring him back.
You think that they will? Greg wants to keep Curse. I don't know. I just don't know. my son and we get into it with the safeties, and he's just not feeling the safeties. I think he wants to get
Kitchens?
Cam Kitchens,
Cam
or maybe
Kitchens, yeah. I'm
Williams.
on board with it. I'm on board. I'm on board with that.
But
I'm on
you
board
got
with
to
that.
think about Marquise Bell is going to be moved. He's not a linebacker. He's going to get moved back to safety. So you got to think you'd have Hooker. Who am I missing? Hooker. I think Donovan Wilson will thrive in Zimmer's defense, being like they used the guy in Minnesota rushing, blitzing and things like that. And I think that, Marquise Bell, so you've got some safeties there. So I think Curse would be the odd one out. And I don't know. To me, he didn't have his best year. I guess it all comes down to money. But here's the thing. I think, and this is just how I feel a little bit. You got to shake it up. You can't bring all the boys back on defense, right? Because we saw you got to shake it up. Just like you're going to have to shake it up on offense. You got to shake up the vibe. You got to shake up the culture a little bit on defense. I think they need to bring some fresh blood in there. So that's what I'm thinking. Now, the question by Mike was, what about the running game? Are you addressing it through the draft? Or are you addressing it through free agency? I'll give you my opinion, Kelly. I want yours. And then in the chat again, love the participation or the call or whatever you guys want to do. For me, I'm addressing in free agency my dog. And you got pictures of Barkley and Henry. Those are the two are at the top of my list. And then I'm drafting a running back. So I'm going in with one of these guys, and I'm going in with a young running back. That's and then you've got, if you want to bring back whoever, you want to bring back the other guys, that's fine. But those are my 1-2 punch. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I agree. And, and I wouldn't even, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even be upset if the Cowboys drafted a running back in the first round, to be honest with you. I mean, if there's a guy there, one of the, we know how the running back scene and the running back value has been. If you can get a running back in the first round, young rookie running back that you can keep for 5 years and then cut them loose, because that's kind of how the NFL has been doing, is kind of churning these guys out, get a young guy, run the hell out of him, and cut him loose before you got to pay him. I wouldn't be against drafting a running back in the first round, to be honest with you.
How good is Jonathan Brooks? He's rated the number 1 running back. He's from Texas. I know you don't like Texas, but you saw him play.
I don't like Texas, but he's good. And I mean, again, I'm not saying that I think we should draft a running back in the first round, but if we did, I wouldn't be against it. I think we have bigger needs. I agree. I think that if we address running back in free agency, that's the smartest thing, because you get a proven guy, and then you can get a younger guy to see if you can develop and bring that guy along to eventually become your starter, the following year. Because I don't know who we would sign, whether it be Henry, Saquon, or other, but I don't think we're signing any one of those guys to a long deal. I think it's a 2-year deal at most for either one of those running backs. So, their shelf life, whoever we get, is going to be fairly short in Dallas.
And I think, too, as you're seeing the running back, now you got Madison, the running back from Minnesota. They're not bringing him back. There's another running back that is going to get dumped into the pool. And it's all about supply and demand. When the supply is high, the price kind of starts going down, because there's just so much there. So I think for the Cowboys, you can get a Henry on a good deal. You can get a Barkley on a good deal. So that's the way that I would go. I think Gallup, there was someone had mentioned, I don't think Gallup has any trade value. I don't know if anyone wants that contract. I think Dallas is just going to have to go ahead and let him go. I don't think it's a big cap hit. I don't think it's huge the way they structured it, but I think it's time for Gallup. Unfortunately, I just don't know if the value's there for what you're paying for the result. And so I just think maybe it's time to move on.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've got, I think this is a spot where they probably go and look at your guy, Tolbert. I think it's time that, you give Tolbert some more looks. Obviously he's a younger guy. He's still on a rookie deal. I think you give him an opportunity to compete for that third roster spot. I think you probably draft a wide receiver at some point in the draft. You probably pick up another wide receiver. But I think that if you return a core of, Cooks, CD, you got Ferguson, and then Tolbert, maybe pick up another guy in the draft and maybe bring in another free agent, low-key free agent. I think that's a pretty good receiving core, honestly. I thought Tolbert started making some pretty good plays down the stretch, to be honest with you, and thought he earned more playing time. So,
I agree.
yeah,
I
so
thought,
I'm not against letting him compete for that third spot.
yeah, I definitely and there's so many receivers. I mean, you see it come through the draft, and yeah, Eckler and Jacobs. I'm not big on Eckler. He wouldn't be my top choice. I like Jacobs. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah.
I just think Henry I just love what he does, man. And
Well, it's hard not to. It's hard not to. That physical style of run and the fact that he hasn't shown really any signs of slowing down. I mean, you look at his season, like there's not really any signs that the dude's slowing down. I mean, he's still a dominant, physical, punch you in the mouth running back. Now, what I keep hearing though is I keep hearing the favored, at least not by him, but the favored spot is the Baltimore Ravens, because, and the article that I read made some pretty good points, because it said if anybody fits the Baltimore Ravens style, it's Henry, because think about it, the Ravens are a physical smash, they're hit you in the mouth. He would fit very well with Baltimore, but I would like him. I would be honest with you, I'd like him. And I would even like Saquon Barkley as well, just because I know a lot of people talk about Saquon's injuries and stuff, but he's a running back is very dynamic in what he can do, catching the ball out of the backfield, running the ball, and he's been the focal point of New York's offense for the past several years, which I think in Dallas he wouldn't have to be the focal point; he would just be another weapon. I think it would give him more opportunities to shine. And I think that, I would be optimistic that he could come in and fight through any of those injury issues, but we'll see. We'll see what happens though. Some big names.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put Barkley, to put a lot on him, because last year the Giants, I mean, they had no quarterback. They went through all these different quarterbacks. I mean, his yards per carry wasn't great. Only had 962 yards, had some injuries. He had a really good year the year before. Doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires. You know what I mean? If you for a running back, compared to like a Henry, Barkley probably fits, in my opinion, the style, right? He probably fits the style of what McCarthy likes in a running back, and probably in the offense, because of the abilities that he has, the versatility that he has. To where Henry, to your point, I mean, he does fit what the Ravens like to do. I want to be like the Ravens. I want a little bit of that nastiness. I just think back to him just stiff arming and throwing guys off and this and that, and I think that amps up a team. And I think this is a team that needs a toughness. And I think we got to find some toughness. And I think you could find that with a running back like Henry. Yeah. And then obviously on the defensive side, finding some toughness either in free agency or in the draft.
Well, and the other thing that I like about, I mean, I've always liked having a physical running back. And don't get me wrong, I thought, Zeke obviously was a pretty physical runner when he was doing it. And he also had that explosiveness. But I mean, there's nothing to me more fun to watch than a running back who has that bruising style. Like I always liked, Dallas Cowboys running backs, rest in peace, but Marion Barber was always one of my favorites. The way he ran the ball, that physicality, and what it does though, when a running back runs like that, and you see him with running hard and smashing, knocking people over, bouncing up, it hypes up the rest of the offense and the defense as well. Like it energizes that team. And, I remember seeing Barber out there, and he's getting, bouncing off dudes like ping pong balls. And then next thing you know, the rest of the team is just amped up, and and it feeds the rest of the team. So I'm with you, man. Henry's the kind of guy that could get you out of your seat, not only us as fans, but the players out of their seat as well, being like, all right, we want to play like that. We want to
Yeah.
play like that. It's contagious.
It
So
is.
you
That's
need
a.
guys.
It's contagious. And 100. You know, I 100% agree with you. Mike Allstott, he was that kind of player too.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
was, and I remember him in Tampa, and I went to a playoff game. It was the Lions in Tampa. It was the last game at the old Sombrero, and me and some friends went, and never been to a playoff game, and it was just, he was just steamrolling by the fourth quarter. Those 3 to 5 yard runs were turning into 20, 30, 40, and
Yeah.
he ended up having a field day. And you had a good compliment. It was, WD-40, his work done. You had the shifty, speed guy, great instinct running back. And then you had the power, with Mike Allstott.
Yep.
It was great. I love when you have that balance, because again, like we talked about, this is not a one running back league anymore. Even
No.
you're gonna have thunder and lightning. You're gonna have some offset. You're gonna have it change it up. And I think that's where I think the Cowboys maybe look to the draft, in the third round, somewhere like that. You can get a
Somewhere
good,
in
really
there,
good running back or something. But talking about a little bit with the draft, it's early. It's early. So we don't need to go depth into players. And when we do that, we're going to bring in some draft experts, unless Kelly, you're one, but I'll be the first to say, I've said it a million times, I'm not. I know my Canes. I know the ACC a little bit, some SEC, but I'm not in depth with all these guys. But what position wise, what are you thinking? And in the chat, you got the first round pick. I mean, what do you think the Cowboys should do? What do you think they're gonna do? What's your thoughts?
Well, in the first round, I think that I really trust the Cowboys to do what they do. Obviously this last year in the first round and second round, they kind of right now, both those picks look like whiffs. And I've had some people tell me that, they wouldn't see the Cowboys going defensive tackle again, but there's going to be some defensive tackles that some talented defensive tackles that are going to be there at the bottom part of that first round. I honestly wouldn't be against going defensive tackle again. And the reason I say that is because I'm not banking on Mozzie Smith to come back and have, and have a great career. Maybe he will. I hope he does, but I'm not counting on it. And I think that right now, the middle of that defensive line and then the linebacker core is weak. And I think that whichever one we don't address in the draft, we should address in free agency. We talk about running back. There's also some big name linebackers that are going to be out there for free agency that we can have. There's a big name defensive tackle, the kid out of the Baltimore, Mamaduke or something. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's a defensive tackle, the kid out of Baltimore. He's going to be a guy that, Baltimore is probably going to want to try to re-sign him. But if not, a guy that I'd love to add onto the Cowboys. But me personally, I'd like to see us go defense, just because I feel like that's more of where we need help. Yeah. I feel like through the linebacker position, the defensive line, and that includes pass rusher. I wouldn't be against going with an edge rusher. I know we still got Parsons on one side, DeMarcus Lawrence on the other side. But I've said it to the chagrin of many people in Cowboys Nation. There's a lot of people that come after me when they say it, but DeMarcus Lawrence is a guy who I understand he's a great run stopper, but he doesn't get to the quarterback a lot. I'd like to get a guy that can get to the quarterback. And his thing is he gets, I know the numbers and the pressures that he gets and this and that, but I don't need pressures. I want him to get into the quarterback. I want him freeing up Micah Parsons on the other side. I want him freeing up them boys that are in the middle, Osa and them guys. So, but defense is for me.
Well, Will McClay was kind of asked about it at the combine. Hopefully I don't screw this up. I'm still learning our new software package we got here, but let me see if I can get it, because he was asked that question.
Shift whenever Zim came in as far as a draft perspective strategy goes?
I think we're probably going to look more so at those bigger bodies on the inside, stopping that, and then we're always looking for linebackers. That's a position that, in free agency and in the draft that we're going to have to look at, because we want to add more players there.
So just basically he echoed kind of what you said. I don't know if you saw it, maybe.
Hey, I could be Stephen Jones. See, it sounded like a lot like me.
So yeah, bigger bodies, bigger bodies, and that's something I think that Zimmerman, likes on his defense and on obviously linebackers. So I see that. I know a lot of mock drafts, and I mean that's exactly what they are, mock drafts. So they don't really mean a whole lot. They've got them going offensive tackle with the first pick, and I mean I'm not going to kill them if they do. I think the game, as I've gotten older and wiser, I say, is I think the game's won in the trenches. So I want to see them defensive line, offensive line in the first round. I would be happy with that. And then obviously, give us some bodies, some linebackers, and then you can address obviously running back, receiver if you want to do. But I think they've got to address that. But what I'm hoping is our man Jerry said he's all in, whatever that means. And Stephen Jones kind of talked about it and said, well, Jerry's in. He's all in every year. And I mean, I would hope that they are. But he seemed to hint, which Stephen usually doesn't do a lot, but he seemed to hint that they were going to be a little bit more aggressive in free agency. So hopefully it's not lip service, but I'd love to see them address the needs in free agency and the draft becomes a luxury instead of what it's been in the past, where the draft is a necessity, where all the pressure's on these guys that we've got to hit triples and home runs on these picks because we didn't get any free agents to backfill some of the holes. So it's all the pressure's on these guys. And I don't know the story, so I'm not going to get into it too deep, but you saw a little bit with Mozzie Smith, lost some weight. So there was some question that maybe Quinn asked him to lose weight, or then you heard that he had some issues. He had some personal issues and maybe pressures and that kind of stuff going on with him. He had a storage unit that he kind of let go away, and it had all his stuff in there and his football gear and things like that. So I don't know where he's at, mentally, if he's okay, but maybe the pressure. There's a lot of pressure playing with the Cowboys, getting that star in your helmet and being a first round pick. And I would love them to not have that pressure on this draft class and let them play loose and let them come in and compete. Does that make sense what I said?
Absolutely. No, absolutely it does. Makes all the sense in the world. Mike, I'm telling you, man, maybe all they got to do is plug us in on this GM thing, man, and just let me and you go to work. We'll let the professionals do it, and we'll give them our little tidbits of advice. We'll let the guys that, do their thing. But no, I agree. And I think, that with the Cowboys, and what's starting to concern me a little bit from this front office is, they're saying the right things, as they always do. I've still yet to see some action. Like, they're saying that they want to extend Dak Prescott. I was thinking this extension would have already happened. Every day that it gets closer to the start of free agency is a day that starts to worry me more, because right now we're over the cap. You need to be under the cap before the start of the new calendar year, which is the start of free agency. So in order to do that, the biggest domino that needs to fall is Dak Prescott. So you're looking at what you would like to see is Dak Prescott get his extension, CeeDee Lamb get his extension, because that right there, just those two moves alone is going to free up a ton of money. I don't know the exact figure, but I know it frees up a lot of money, would give the Cowboys immediate room to start negotiating with some free agents and bringing some guys in. Then also, Micah Parsons. I wouldn't be against giving him his deal a year early. Reason being, he's going to be a guy that's going to be here. He seems like he's going to be a cornerstone guy on this defense for many years to come. The Cowboys' downfall the past several years is waiting to contract and extend these guys until they have these badass seasons. I mean, Dak probably wouldn't have been against getting extended last year, but guess what? He comes out this year. He had this plan on the last year of his deal, or what he's got this year left where it's 60 million. What does he do? Comes out as an MVP season. What CeeDee Lamb last year, his deal. What does he do? Comes out, has an all-pro season. I mean, the best season of his career. You've got Micah Parsons now, still got a year left on his deal, and first round picks, so you can give him that fifth option, whatever. But you've got a Micah Parsons that more than likely watch us not extend him. And then watch this year he come out and have some crazy season under Zimmer and break the sack record or be the defensive player of the year. And then your dollar value just continues to rise with these guys. So being proactive and getting some of these extensions done, I think would be a good thing. And like I said, the first domino needs to fall is Dak Prescott. So it's starting to kind of concern me as we get closer to that start of free agency. Like, needs to be some movement, and I just haven't heard a lot on that end of it.
Yeah, I think the point on Dak and CD, it has to happen before free agency. Dak is a $59 million cap number. CD is $18 million. If they re-sign both of them, they can stretch that out and open up a lot of money. Now, what I would,
Absolutely.
you and I agree 99% of the time, but where I'll disagree if you're going this way is I wouldn't sign Parsons now. And the reason I say that, he's only a $5 million cap number. And I think next year, that's when if you're going all in and you want to get ultra aggressive this year for free agency, I think you want to kind of extend the ones that make sense to where you can lower your cap number. And then, the ones that are low, I don't know if I'd want to renegotiate right now. And you look at it, two other guys that come to mind is Zach Martin. He's a $28 million cap hit. They can't cut him, obviously. He would be a total hit the way they did the contract. So I think if they work something out with him, they can lower that number. And the interesting one is going to be Tank. And you guys know how I feel about Tank. He's one of my favorites. He's a $20 million cap hit. If they make him a post-June cut, he's a $10.5 million hit, $10 million savings. So there would be some cap savings if they cut him. If I'm wrong, someone correct me, because I will not claim to be a capologist. I'm reading and over the cap just like everyone else does, and that's the way I understand it to be. But if I'm wrong, then let me know. But I would not lock up Parsons. That's why I got to disagree with Greg too. I can't believe I got to disagree with both my guys. I would not do Parsons now. He's got the fifth. You got to think about it. He's got the fifth-year option. They can franchise him after that. So he's not going anywhere. But what I agree with is when that fifth-year option comes up and he's going to be paid at that accelerated level, that's when I'd re-sign him, lower that number, and extend him.
Yeah. Well, and you make a good point. I mean, you kind of pulling me back a little bit. I still think we obviously got to lock up Parsons. But when you put it in that perspective in terms of, yes, if we sign Parsons to a big, large deal and he's getting a heftier part of then that's less of the pie this year if we're truly going to go all in. So, because I do think that if you are going to go all in, I think that you get a little reckless. In my opinion, you get reckless, you spend, you don't worry about what the ramifications are going to be in the years to come. You spend now, you win now. You worry about the repercussions later. So I've been saying that. That's kind of my motto, is the way that I would like to do it is kind of how the Rams did it. It didn't work out. I say this a bit with so much pleasure. Didn't work out for the Eagles, but the way they did it, it got them to a Super Bowl. Didn't win the Super Bowl. They're still celebrating the loss of a Super Bowl as some type of accomplishment. Losers. But that's kind of how you want the Cowboys to be aggressive. When you say all in, what is all in? Well, there's two examples right there, the Rams and Philly. So I want the Cowboys to go out and aggressively spend. I want them to get the big name free agents. I'm tired of them kicking the tires on a defensive end that's on his fifth team in the last 6 years, and former first round pick that they think they can turn around, but he's been on 6 different teams and hasn't turned it around yet. Like, let's get a guy who we know is good, proven, a winner. Like, let's go out and get some of them guys, man. Let's get some guys that bring some physicality. Yeah.
Now, could you see the rumors fly? And I'd love to get your guys' opinion on it. Is Reddick from Philly? I saw something that that the Eagles, the Cowboys, they would be interested in him. I think so. I think they would be interested in him. Could you ever see the Eagles trading one of their top guys to Dallas? I just don't know. I don't think that they would allow that to happen.
I don't think so, man. I think that no. I don't see that happening. I know that they love to go after our former, they love going after our scraps. As much as Philly says that they're not the little brother, they sure as hell want to be us. I mean, I can count numerous times where Philly has grabbed, whether it be DeMarco Murray,
Scandrick,
Kendrick, Kellen Moore. I mean, they go after guys that are on the Cowboys because they want
Herschel Walker. No,
yeah. You know, but no, trading, especially if it's a good talent, and you know, Reddick is that he's a good talent. You don't do that within your own division. I mean, it's pretty stupid. I mean, unless you're just tanking and you're getting rid of everything and you don't really care about the result of the next year, which is not the case with the Eagles. They're absolutely going to want to try to be competitive, and I think that they are the 1B in the NFC East. I still think the Cowboys have got the better shot at winning the division, be the first team to win the division back-to-back years.
Isn't that crazy? It's been like 20-something years.
It's been an insane amount of time, man. It just shows you the competitiveness of the NFC East. But yeah, I think that's a cardinal sin right there to trade within your division, especially if it's a good talent.
Yeah, the one thing, and Greg might remember that. I'm sure he remembers it. The greatest receiver for the Eagles is Harold Carmichael, right? He's like the best receiver they had, and he was a Dallas Cowboy. He finished his career with the Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately, he never played in a game, I don't think, because I would have loved to be able to say he finished a career with the Cowboys, because that really piss off the Eagle fans. Then, you know, Hall of Fame, he went in as a Cowboy, didn't go as an Eagle. So anyway, I think those inter-rivalry free agent moves, I think it sparks the rivalry even more. I mean, when T.O. came to Dallas, I mean, I don't know about you. I hated T.O. with the 49ers. I really despised him with the Eagles. But, man, when he came to the Cowboys, he had that song. I was jamming in my car, and I got my T.O. jersey. It was the first thing I ordered. And I love those years when T.O. was a Cowboy, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I was the same way. I hated him and I never wanted to see him. I was like, no, I absolutely don't want. But then as soon as he gets there and he's talking about, get your popcorn ready, and there I am lining up, getting me a T.O. jersey and, ready to go, man. Because, well, I think what it is that, you look at,
let's ask Mike real quick, because I saw, was that when he went to the Star and he got laid out by George Teague? Was that is that when he said he went to the Star? I'm sure that was it, when he went to the Star. T.O.
Mike was at that game.
Yeah, he said he was at that game. That's when our man George Teague laid him out, and I'm so mad because I'm getting some stuff for us, Kelly. I've been working, and Greg too. I finally found a James Washington picture, and then I got a picture of George Teague knocking out T.O. when he went to the Star, and I got 3 of them. I was like, all right, I'm gonna, because George was making fun of me. He's like, hey man, you don't have nothing to me in there. I said, well, you never signed nothing. So he said, I'll change that. So I got these pictures that I was gonna get signed for us, and they didn't, the quality didn't come out good. So I gotta start over and see if I can find something. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I digress. T.O.
No, that's what I'm talking about, man. I want to give me a George Teague with that right there. That's an iconic moment right there.
That's my favorite Cowboy moment.
And Mike said that was his first game ever. So what a game to be at. I mean, we didn't get to win that game. The Niners did end up pulling out that win, but still a great game. Still some great memory. Emmett was still playing then. Remember Emmett going pounding the football in the Star. That's I've said it when George was on the show with us. I remember I said it, and I don't exaggerate. It's one of my favorite memories as a Cowboys fan, was him spearing T.O. off that Star, man. I remember we got the loss, but it's one of my favorite memories, and will always be one of my favorite memories, just because it was kind of one of those, not trying to get in no trouble on the YouTube, but F around and find out moments. And, you love it when Cowboys players let people know when they're on our stadium that they're not going to disrespect the Star like that. So
no, and I think it gave us, because you got to remember, we weren't really good at that point, right? And it was a sense of pride. It was a sense of pride as a Cowboys fan that, hey, yeah, we're not the better team in it, but we're not going to take your shit either, right? So that's to me, and I think that's what makes George Teague so special in Dallas Cowboy Nation, right? And Cowboys Nation is because of that. He's always going to be remembered, because if you really look at it, he was a Packer. I mean, he was a first-round pick. He played 5 years there, had playoff success there. Couldn't beat us, unfortunately. Couldn't beat us to get over the hump, but he had some success and a nice, really good career with the Packers. So a lot of people say, hey, man, you're a Packer, but he's remembered always as a Cowboy because of that. And wherever he goes, like he said he'd be, in Japan, or he'd be somewhere on the other side of the country, and people remember that and remember him for it. So, and it was an instinct. He talked about it. It wasn't nothing he planned. It was nothing, it was just an instinctive moment of competitiveness to where you're not going to disrespect, me and my team on our field. And I love seeing that. I wish I'd see more of that, but it's just different, different game.
Yeah, no, it is. But yeah, you're right though. George will always be remembered for that. And yeah, we do need some passionate players like George T. Yeah, we've talked about that a lot, man. That whole, the passion and just the pride that comes with wearing the star. It seems to, somewhere along the way, and I don't know how, seems to have kind of lost its luster. And maybe that's just because we haven't been a team that's been super competitive, playing in NFC championship games, Super Bowls, whatever. But it seems like it's kind of lost some of its luster with some of these stars, and I don't understand how a franchise this tradition rich could ever lose the luster of the star, man. I mean, it's the brand in the NFL, like the brand. It's the brand in sports. I mean, you think of the major brands, you got Yankees, Lakers, Cowboys. Like it's when you think of basketball, think of the Lakers. You think of football, you think of the Cowboys. You think of baseball, you think of the Yankees. And the Yankees ain't been very competitive in a while either, but they're still one of the brands. Same thing with the Lakers. They might not be winning titles every year, but it's the brand. Same thing with the Cowboys. They don't lose that luster. It's always going to be there. We're America's team, no matter how much these other teams try to take that title from us. And every year it seems like there's another team, trying to get the moniker of America's team. We're always going to be that team. Like that don't go away. So you just kind of sometimes wish that some of these players would really just, I don't know, exhibit that. I don't know, just something about it. It doesn't really seem like that it's there anymore.
Well, we're America's team, and the Cowboys Cave is part of America and part of the passion. And when people think of, shows, they think of Cowboys Cave and Tag and K9. And it was evident that, I'm just searching every now and then. I say, I'm searching Tag and K9. I want to see what America says. And lo and behold, I searched Tag and K9, and we got imposters copying our gear, not even giving us a little coin in our pocket, maybe throw us a sweatshirt, throw us something like that. But there's only one place that you can get the original gear, right? The Twisted Gorilla. That's where you guys can get it. But I mean, I don't know. I didn't know, Kelly. Do you take that as a compliment? Do you take offense to it? I mean, what do we think about that?
Well, I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if we got a little something. Throw me a hoodie or something.
The hoodies were nice.
Hoodie was kind of nice. I kind of like that. So I mean, it'd be nice to throw us a little something. It was a little flattering. I was a little upset, but then it was also a little flattered that somebody would, say, hey, we should bootleg this and try to make some money off Tag and K9. So obviously, It means we're doing something right.
Yeah, I don't take offense to it. I was fine with it. Hey, as long as they spelled our name right. They said Cowboys Cave in there, so you gotta like it. So and jumping in the chat, Mike, definitely appreciate it. I hope you're a subscriber. I see you're on Twitter, but hopefully you are a subscriber to the channel. If you're not, flip over to YouTube. Anyone who's not watching us on YouTube, at least hit that subscribe, support the cause. But I agree. I wish Micah would be more of a vocal leader, but I don't know if that's something you can be. I think it's just something you are or you're not. I don't know if it's something you can develop into. But, what's your thought on that? And then Steven, real quick, he's going to his first game at AT&T this year. Hopefully, it's when we do our second annual Cowboys Cave tailgate party, and you'll be able to hang with us because that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time. I think Greg's going to be going out for that. So hopefully we'll have the whole crew there. But what's your thoughts with Micah and being that vocal leader?
Yeah, I don't know if and thanks for doing that, Mike, for subscribing. Everyone helps. Yeah, I don't know, man. I kind of wish that he would too, because he doesn't really, somebody had pointed out, and I noticed that it's when they're doing uh the team huddle, it
Yeah.
always seems like it's either, you've seen Dak in the middle, but you've seen DeMarcus Lawrence a lot in the middle, and you've seen, I feel like that you're right. Not everybody can be a vocal leader. Not everybody has it in them. Not everybody can go out there. But Michael Parsons seems to be a pretty well-spoken guy. He doesn't seem like he's an overly quiet guy. So I don't really know what he's like in the locker room. I don't really know what he's like in that huddle. Honestly, what I would just love to see from him is, him taking over a game in the playoffs is what I would like to see.
Yeah.
And somebody had just mentioned a Fred Warner. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that Michael Parsons is way more talented than Fred Warner. Physically, athletically, I do. But Fred Warner, when you watch him, man, just pops off the screen, and it's the way that he hits people. It's the way that he's running to the ball, and he's physical, and he's just like in your face, and it's just there's a difference to Parsons, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Parsons, because trust me, I love him. I think he's an athletic freak, but there's just something about Parsons that just sometimes seems to be missing in certain games, where it's just like you're wanting to see a little bit more, consistency, and just maybe him being more of a fire for this defense. But he's talked about it on his podcast in this offseason about wanting to be that guy and needing to step up and take the reins and be that guy. So we'll see what happens. I mean, he's still a fairly young guy on this team. Some people, kind of grow into those roles as they get a little bit older. So maybe he's feeling more comfortable in his role with the team and that he can do that. So I guess we'll see. But he's
he's still a young guy. And I mean, obviously the sky's a limit with him. And I mean, when you look, they always do the comparison with Lawrence Taylor, but you watch Lawrence Taylor, he just had just an attitude. And Parsons, he's nice, man. He's a nice guy. He does great things for people. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know if he is that person. Now, I wouldn't want to get him mad. I wouldn't. He's not a guy that I'd want to get upset either. And I think he needs to find that anger, that inner thing with him. But I mean, he's our best player. Let's make no mistake about it. We're a better team with him, and he's the best player. If not, you can argue maybe if you want to throw Dak or CD, but I'll take Parsons. I think athletically and everything that has with it, I'm going to take Parsons.
You know what I would say about it. What it is, I don't think. I think I just, when you mentioned the Lawrence Taylor, and I'm sitting there thinking, what it is? It's the nastiness.
Yes.
Parsons does not have the nasty. He is a very great player, athlete. When it comes to the pass rush and what he can do, it's right in line with those guys. Those guys were nasty. Those guys were guys that they would intimidate you. Guys were intimidated by a Lawrence Taylor, even by a guy like a Fred Warner. They're intimidating because they have that mean streak about them, that nastiness. Kind of like, Kevin Gogan when he comes on. He was a nasty player, you know what I mean? I'd like to see Michael Parsons get a little bit more of a mean streak, a little bit more of a nasty side of him. I mean, call me crazy, man. We've talked about this before, and like I said, I know this is the new game and this is how it is nowadays, but you wouldn't have seen Lawrence Taylor doing a jersey exchange after a game with an opposing player after they got beat.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see that. I don't even think you'd have seen it if they won. Not a giant exchanging player jerseys with a damn Dallas Cowboy, and when you see stuff like that when it's the Cowboys playing exchanging jerseys with the Eagles, and I'm like, come on, man, like, don't do that, man. Don't do that. But yeah, it's the nastiness for me. That's
and we're definitely, Gogan brings that, and I'm surprised because Parsons is a pretty good. I think he might have been state champion. If he was really, really good, but I'm not sure. But he was a wrestler, and usually wrestlers have that. It's an individual sport. I mean, I wrestled, in high school, and you had to, you got your ass whooped sometimes, and it wouldn't feel good, but it felt good when you beat somebody's ass. So you have that inner side to you. He just got to kind of get it going. But I mean, Ray Lewis was state champion wrestler my senior year. He was a senior. Thankfully, I didn't weigh the same as him because that would have been not a day I would have liked to have. He was a bad dude. Ray Lewis was one of a kind. Should Mike Zimmer put Mike at the mic, with linebacker? And what I'll say, and Kelly, I definitely want your opinion on it next, and if anyone has one in the chat as well. But we had James Washington on, and he just says something that always sticks in my head every time I think about Micah Parsons. What should we do with him? And he said, you got to let your dogs hunt, and he goes and gets a quarterback. So whatever they do with him, he's best served going after the quarterback. So
I agree.
whether they put him at linebacker and they're going to blitz him or something like that, but I think he just needs to be rushing the passer at the edge, because if you don't have him at the edge, really, what do you have?
Nothing
on that line.
Nothing on the edge, man, because DeMarcus Lawrence ain't getting them sacks. DeMarcus Lawrence, I think, had 5 sacks this year, maybe. I think it's 5 or 6. It's not easy to get a guy that's going to be a consistent 13 to 15 sacks a year guy. And you got that with Michael Parsons, and you got that every single year for the next 10 years, probably, likely. So yeah, I'm all get a draft a linebacker, sign a linebacker, keep Michael Parsons on that edge, because he is dominant, and you don't see dominance like that often. You know what I mean? Because you look around the league at guys that can do that on a consistent basis, it's a handful of them, right? You got your TJ Watt, you got your Joey Bosa, you've got Parsons. There's not a lot of those guys that you can go down and name. Allen from Jacksonville, but guys that are going to do it every single year, there's like 3 or 4 in the NFL out of 32 teams that are going to come out there and be double-digit sack guys every year. So the fact that we have one, why would you take that away from your defense? That's you're not getting better by doing that.
Yeah, and a couple things and I agree. A couple things in the chat. Sam Williams, get more playing time. He was my breakout player going into the season. I thought he'd get double-digit sacks. I just don't know. I still hang on that victory party he was doing at the club after the Packers game that he set up before the game. So I don't know, man. I don't know if he's all in. I mean, I said it before. If it were me, I would probably cut him and Turpin to send a message. But if Zimmer can get something out of Sam Williams, because he's got a ton of talent, he does. There's no doubt about it. It isn't about talent. Then I'd love to see what he can do. And then one other thing, and then get you to respond. Different generation of attitude. Social media wasn't a thing back then. Now it's what the players live for. The brand means more than the commitment, and I think that's what you see. Didn't we have someone on that said 53 brands, or did someone say that? I can't remember.
Yep, no, it was. I think it was.
Was it James Washington, or was it?
I'm blanking. No, it was Drew Pearson's running mate.
Tony Hill. Tony Hill.
Jesus, why could I forget that, man?
Yeah.
It's Tony Hill that said that.
Yeah,
and I agree with it, man. And, it's 53 individuals trying to build a brand instead of concentrating on the brand that they all play for. Build it.
Yeah.
And he echoed it. He said it. We've talked about it. Win a Super Bowl, and you don't ever have to worry about a brand, because you're the brand. You are the brand. That team, all the players on that team, role players, like the kicker, they're going to remember all these dudes because they're Super Bowl champions. So if 53 individuals come together, instead of worrying about 53 different brands, worry on the brand and build that brand and turn that brand into a championship, you ain't never got to worry about a brand.
No, and I use the example of a guy that I'm working on getting in the cave, Kenny the Shark, man. He was a special teams guy. He didn't have huge contracts. I mean, he got that contract from the Bucks after, but it was all because of Cowboys winning Super Bowls. But he is still loved, remembered. Go to a Cowboys experience tailgate party, and they got the Shark Dance contest, and he's up there. He's signing autographs. He's taking pictures. He's got his Super Bowl rings. it lasts a lifetime, and in Dallas, it lasts forever, and you will always be remembered. So I agree 1,000% with that. And so a defense to DeMarcus, Lawrence, he gets double-digit tackle for loss, which is just as good as a sack. So and I agree. I think DeMarcus, when he's on, he's on. And but I would say that we all talk about Parsons getting triple teamed and this and that. If that's happening, someone on the other side's got to win, right?
Yeah, somebody else has got to be able to get to the quarterback. Somebody's got to be able to get to the quarterback and get those and get the sacks, get the ball out of his hand quicker, because that's not happening. And there are people that have made excuses for it, man. I'm not gonna. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not gonna be able to get it. I'm not gonna be able to get what he said out of my head. Other people might be able to. It might be able to move on. I can't get it out of my head. I can't get it out of my head that he said that. I don't care what the excuse is. I don't care if he was fumbling for words. I don't care what it is. It was the weakest thing I've ever heard from another NFL player talking about you're burnt out, tired from a long season. Unacceptable. Like I remember saying, like, if I was a defensive coordinator, man, I would have looked at cutting that sumbitch right there. But that's just me. There's a lot of people that love him. Cam, I know, loves her some DeMarcus Lawrence. So I'm not going to besmirch the name of D-Law here. I'm just saying, it's a bad taste that I've got in my mouth, and sometimes you get that bad taste in your mouth and you can't get it out. That's going to stick with me, man. It's really going to stick with me because we talk about the culture of the team and all this, and we talk about physicality, and we talk about heart, desire, and all that, and then you hear something like that, and it just, man, it's like taking a bite out of what you thought was an apple, but it's an onion.
Yeah. It was tough, but I mean, I owe Tank a lot. If it wasn't for Tank, I wouldn't know you, Kelly. I wouldn't have the Cowboys Cave, and I wouldn't have all my friends I made in Cowboys Nation. So I'm always got a soft spot for Tank, and I wish he didn't say that. That I agree with you. That's probably the one thing you should never say as a competitor. And Jimmy Johnson used to talk about it all the time. Fatigue makes cowards out of us all. So you never want to hear that you're tired. It's not a thing you want to hear in professional sports. Some people are saying he was trying to hide what he wanted to say, and he was trying to defend someone to try and whatever. I don't know. I wish he'd come out and say that. Now,
yeah, if
it was something with Quinn, I wish he'd come out and say, "Look, man, I didn't want to throw him under the bus. He's my coach. I used bad words, bad choice of words, but the scheme that he had us in that playoff game was not set up for success." I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it's true or not, but we'll see. But yeah, definitely. What's up to Cam? Mike Zimmer is blitz percentage. That was really the show that we were having tonight with Dave Campo. Coach Campo was really talking about Zimmer, the type of defense that he likes to run, get into it a little bit with him. Also the culture. Unfortunately, Coach Campo got down with an illness. We want him to feel better. He wants to make sure he can do the best job in the cave. So he said, hey, I don't know if I can bring my A game. So we're going to try and get that next week and get into that more. But I do know Zimmer, from a safety standpoint, blitzed a hell of a lot with Minnesota was it Harrison Smith? Hopefully I got the name right. But yeah. And of course we get a Pack fan in here. Go Pack, go. Thank you. I was just getting over it. You got to come in here and remind me. So it's a new season. You didn't get anywhere either. You're just on the couch like we were.
Hey, you know what? Thanks for the view. Thanks for the click. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we encourage all fans from all fan bases to come in here. Don't expect us to have a whole lot of positive things to say about your squad or nothing like that. But we get it. We accept them all. But yeah. So, but yeah, Cam kind of said that I think there was a lot of factors that took us down that playoff game. I'm tired of us having a culture issue. That makes all of us. It makes all of us, and it's hard to say that there isn't one as a fan when you're out physical, you're outplayed, you're outclassed, out coached. it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard to say that. And the fact that we got Packer fan in here, but it reminds me and brings me back to that game. Not to take anything away from the Packers, but they shouldn't have beat Dallas in that game. Dallas had the better team, better roster, better quarterback, everything better about that team. There's no way on earth that Green Bay should have come in there into our house and been able to do what they did to us, but they did. And they did it because they came in there with an attitude and a mindset that they were going to be the more physical team. And they did it. Again, it was another playoff game where the team was more physical than us. The Niners did it to us back-to-back seasons. It is what it is, and how to change that and fix that, that's the $1 million question. You know what I mean? Whether is it Zimmer? Is it getting the right kind of players in, getting some free agents in? Is it getting some younger draft picks? Is it getting our guys that are already there, Micah Parsons, to be more vocal leaders or to change their leadership style a little bit, tweak it? There's a lot of speculation going around about it, man. But one thing's for sure, there is an issue. There is an issue, absolutely.
You gotta change the culture. You gotta change some people. You gotta bring some championship mentality in here. And like my man Mike, first time watching a show, man. He loves it. And yeah, we're on live typically on Thursdays unless something happens. The best way, I do a Monday show with Jimmy Dee, which is really more sports, but I can't help it. I talk Cowboys, but I try and help him out. We just do more general sports. And then Kelly and I also, we'll pop in from time to time. So the most important thing for any of you guys, if you're just watching it for the first time or just, checking us out, is go subscribe on YouTube, hit the alert bell, because you never know when we're going to pop in. And then obviously when the season gets going, we're going to be, in full force. But we get a lot of former athletes, former Cowboys primarily, some rivals. If you Mike, you can go back to the channel. We have some great interviews with champions. Like I said, we can't get the champions, but we're going to bring the champions in the cave. So we had done a ton of great interviews with coaches, players, and rivals of the Cowboys to get the other side of the rivalry, see what they say. So definitely, if you guys are not subscribed, do your boys a solid, hit that subscribe. Hit the like on every video you watch, more importantly, and then share. And like I said, when you go to work, pop on your computer, hit the cave, let that thing run for 8 hours and enjoy yourself while you're working. Get your mind off stuff. Stay focused, of course, at the job at hand. I don't want no one losing their job because of the cave, but you can have it on in the background, right? Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, have it on the background. If you're a forklift operator, keep your eyes on in front of you. So don't no safety first. Safety first.
Yeah. And what's up, Sean? Appreciate you popping in. What our man Greg say? We got to get Greg on here. I mean, I sent him a link one day. Greg, you have carte blanche. All you got to do is pop in or hit us up, man. We love having you on the cave because you bring some good stuff. Jimmy Johnson being on board now as an influencer should be a good thing because of the relationship with Zimmer. If JJ allows him to be the conscience, it could pay huge dividends. Yeah, I don't know if Jimmy's I don't know if some of that was just tongue in cheek. I hope that Jerry is thinking of that. I put a reel out with Stephen Jones talking about it, and it kind of said it, kind of didn't, but I hope there's conversations with Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson is always, he's a smart guy. He's won championships everywhere he's gone. Pretty much, obviously not with the Dolphins. I understand that, but he got that team going when they were kind of stagnant, and they got stuck with Marino at the latter part of his career, which wasn't, the best thing for him. But obviously the championships he won at Miami and the ones he won at Dallas are timeless. And so I don't know. I hope he does. But I mean, do you think it's Jerry? I mean, you think Jerry's going to be calling him a lot, or you think that was kind of in the motion and in the moment?
I don't really know. I think time will tell. But yeah, absolutely, Cam. You are also.
We got to do a draft show. We need help with that.
Yeah, for the draft show. I mean, shoot, she can come on anytime. Greg says in his.
I just don't want to hear about Huskies all day.
Yeah. She'll break down the draft show, but we need to get her to kind of go away from the Huskies. She'll be breaking down, all of the Huskies, everyone in the draft. She's like, yeah, Husky first round, Husky second round, Husky third round. Fourth round, we're going to change it up a little bit. We don't have a pick, so we'll go fifth round Husky. But no, I think that in terms of the Jimmy thing, I said it last time when we were talking about it last show. I love Jimmy Johnson. I think any Jimmy Johnson, even if it's in a limited capacity, cannot be anything but a good thing.
Yep.
Jimmy knows football. Jimmy understands what it takes to win. He's a good football mind. And again, I harken back to that, Green Bay game, the halftime speech that he gave. It was an impassioned speech. It was off the cuff. It was from the heart. And you could tell that he still gave a damn about this team. He gave a damn about the image. And you could tell that the way that we were getting beat pissed him off. And that kind of passion, that kind of intensity, even if we just bring a little bit of it, just a little dash of Jimmy Johnson, I'll take it. And while I'm saying that, and I keep saying Jimmy knows this, Jimmy knows that, I keep thinking about that Seinfeld episode where that guy, I don't remember if you.
Oh, Jimmy, yeah, Jimmy don't like, yeah.
Jimmy don't like that. Yeah, I can't hear that. Yeah, Jimmy likes basketball. No, but like I really do. I think it's a good thing. And hopefully Jerry, we've talked about it. Why won't Jerry pull from some of these guys that know football and get some advice? Why wouldn't you get football advice from great football minds? It's what makes great, GMs, CEOs. It's what makes them better, is pulling from other great minds to come up with great ideas or to fix processes or to, in this case, to fix what may be wrong in Dallas. So yeah. I think it's a good thing. So hopefully Jerry it's not just tongue in cheek, and hopefully Jerry is going to pull from that resource a little bit.
Yeah. And speaking of, I hope he does. Another resource he should pull from is Troy Aikman. I think he's another, and Moose Johnson, those
Troy
Aikman,
guys. Moose Johnston. Absolutely.
And I saw Troy Aikman post on Instagram an ice cold bucket of 8 beer. His 8 beer. And it says they're shipping nationwide. If you're outside of Texas, you can grab an 8 beer. And it's funny because I never get responses from him or the 8 beer, but they posted something. So I said, hey man, how about we got some distribution in Florida? And they replied and gave me the whole thing. Hey, can order. And then they put another new post that they do ship the beer anywhere in the United States. So what I was going to, I don't know. I was going to ask you, Kelly, I mean, should we reply and, hey, how about you ship us some beer on the strength, and we're going to open that cold one on the show. And maybe when, when the hype video drops or the post game, instead of you holding a Miller Lite, giving them all the pub, maybe you're holding an 8. I mean, what's wrong with it's a little sponsorship? Is there something sponsorship? And we're bringing these viewers or bringing some attention. They got an opportunity. I mean, what do we get between the two of us on our videos and tweets? Hundreds of thousands of views. I'd rather be holding an 8 beer than a Miller Lite. Don't you agree? Should I reach out to
I would. And I've actually been in Texas and I've had the 8 beer. I went to a microbrewery one time when it first dropped, and it was when Aikman was out and he was going to a bunch of people. He wasn't at that particular one, but it was unveiling of the 8 beer, and I tried it, and it's a good beer. It's a light beer, so it's more of a light. It's not like an IPA or nothing like that. Not a real big huge fan of the IPAs, but I would absolutely drink an 8 beer, and I would. And listen, send me a 6-pack, send me a 12-pack, whatever it is. But I promise we would Cowboys Cave would promote the 8 beer, and I mean, what better way to promote a beer from Troy Aikman, one of the all-time Cowboys greats, than on the Cowboys Cave and Cowboys Cave platform. So,
well, I'm going to reach out to him, and maybe Troy wants to come in the cave. We talk about his beer a little bit and have a good time. So I'm gonna. Hey, if you don't shoot, you can't score. Isn't that what they say, Kelly?
That's right. Yeah.
And I took my shot with Kevin Gogan, and he scared me with his first line, asking me what the heck is wrong with me, but I knew he was joking and appreciated the videos, and he's going to be coming into the cave next week, so we're excited. So we are probably going to have a double dip. If Coach Campo's feeling good, you're going to get a lot of Tag and K9. That's why it's very important to hit that like, subscribe, and share. and
Yep.
hit that alert bell. That way you do know what's coming. But we should have what is that? A total of 5? Is that 5 Super Bowls in 1 week? 5 Super Bowl titles
Yeah.
between the 2 of them. So we're gonna bring in some champions. So make sure you guys check it out, and then we'll see what happens. Anything else on your mind? I know we've been going $130 here. Anything else?
$130. No, that's about it, man. I'm just excited to speak with both Campo and Gogan next week. Those are going to be 2 really good interviews. Passionate guys. Great. I know we've had Campo on before. He's a great interview. I'm excited about Gogan just because I know he's going to bring. He's going to have some good stories. I can already tell, man. That's anytime you can get a guy like that into the cave, it'll make for a great show. So you guys make sure you're tuning in. Make sure you hit that notify bell. YouTube will absolutely give you a little buzz on your phone, let you know Cowboys Cave is live. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, appreciate it. And hopefully it's not our last show. I mean, he did say he was coming in unfiltered, and he said you've been warned with an exclamation point. So I hopefully between the 2 of you, I'm going to try and make sure, I know I slip up every now and then. I'm going to try and make sure it's, we don't get in too much trouble with the FCC or whatever they are. We don't want to get in any trouble with kind of that stuff. So between you and Gogan, man, it's going to be a good time, but we're going to get into it. We're going to get into some Cowboys stuff, past and present. And he was there when Jimmy got inducted in the Ring of Honor. Jimmy had a big impact on his life in a positive way. So we're definitely going to be talking about it. And Cam can correct me. Where did Gogan go to college? I think I want to say he went to Washington. Am I wrong? Or no? I know he lives in Washington. Did he go to college there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know.
Cam?
Cam?
Cam's
got to know.
Cam's
Miss Husky.
University of Washington. I was correct.
There you go, Cam. You're gonna have to come in here.
I mean, we got one of your guys on, so she might have to make a cameo.
A Husky in the cave.
You might have to make a cameo to show some love to the Huskies because that's right. Because I was trying to timeline when he played, if it was when they broke our home winning streak, which was the worst day for a Miami Hurricane fan. Yeah. So anyway, I wasn't sure. Who was a running back? Napoleon Kaufman, I think it was. Hopefully I think that, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so he's a Husky. So Cam's got to be happy about that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So cool. Well, we appreciate it. It's Friday. I don't know about you. I'm going to be off. I'm working a half a day Friday. I'm taking my son and the fellas. We're going to go to a spring training game. The Marlins are in town. My son's a big Marlins fan. So we're going to check out the Marlins and Phillies. I always like that. I wear my Cowboy stuff to piss off all the Philly people. So that's always makes for a good time. So that's going to be it. And then have a good weekend. But you got any big plans, Kelly?
No, man, nothing much, man. Gonna relax, drink a couple of cold ones, probably watch some college basketball. That's about it, man. Just relax.
All right, cool. Well, you guys, we appreciate it. A great turnout, a lot of fun in the chat. And I know it's the dog days, but really, I mean, we've got a couple good guests coming up in the next few weeks, and that'll fill some time. And then once free agency starts, we're going to be in full speed through the draft. We'll have our draft shows, bring in the experts. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend. We will see you guys soon. Take care.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.